Hey polish freaks, welcome back to my channel. I'm finally back into it after the wedding. I'm back. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that my son got married and it was awesome and amazing and beautiful. It was in my backyard. I'm so glad. It was so fun to do. I'm ready to move on though and get back into my nail content. Thank you for being patient with me while I was super busy this summer, but I'm gonna try to bust through these fall reviews because I have some holiday stuff coming. The OPI holiday collection is on its way to me now. So I might just put that in so you guys have it. I might do that before some of the other fall collections. I'll have to wait and see, but put a comment down below and let me know what you would prefer. But today we're talking about the Essie Mystical Mist collection. This is a Target exclusive collections. I have loved the Target exclusive collections the last few years, and I'm sorry for those of you who don't have Target, especially up in Canada. I know you guys are always sad when you don't have a Target around to get some of these polishes because they've been so good lately. Hopefully with these comparisons you can find something that's kind of similar to kind of make you feel better about not having it. But some of them are a little bit unique. On my nails today, I am wearing this beautiful polish called Lights Down, Music Up. It's the first time in 2023 that I'm wearing a dark polish. I was finally in the mood for it because yesterday it was super rainy and cold and I loved it so much. It's gonna go back up to 80 this next week, but I'm just enjoying it while I can. This is from the Essie Fall collection. I did a review of that already and I'll put a link down to it below, and it's just on my page as well, so you can find that there. But it's just a beautiful polish. It's kind of like a sister to Smokin' Hot and Merino Cool. I would say it's kind of a mix of those, and so I love it so much. It's a must-have in my opinion. But go check out my review. I have comparisons on there. So I'm gonna link my shirt down below because I love it so much. I got it at Maurice's this year. I have never really shopped at Maurice's, and I thought I'd try it out this year, and I found quite a few things that I actually really liked. And so I'll probably be wearing them as it gets cooler and cooler. And then the lipstick that I'm wearing is MAC. It's Laissez Faire, and it's this beautiful nude shade. So that's the one I have on my lips right now. I will add links down below for those. Okay, so this Mystical Mist collection is a nature-inspired collection, which I really enjoyed. I found the colors to be a little interesting together, but once I kind of read about what it was about, then it made more sense, especially since the silver polish is kind of like moonlight, and I really like the theme. Okay, so let's get into them. There's 6 polishes, 5 of them are creams, yes. And one, that silver one, which is amazing by the way, is the only kind of glittery, metallic-y chrome polish. This first beautiful polish here is Sensoril, and it's a beautiful light mint green. Essie has a lot of the blue mints, but this is a green mint, which I found to be super amazing, and I love it so much. The formula is really great on this too. It's pretty much going to be opaque in 2 coats. And this one also has a little bit of a brightness to it, which I love, and I feel like you could wear this any time of year. I love mint polishes, especially the green leaning ones, and one of my favorites is This Cost Me a Mint, and I'm going to show you compared to that because it's not exactly the same as that. It's a little bit darker than that, but it's kind of similar in color tone, and this one is just slightly cool toned like that polish. So let's get into comparisons. I have 3 sets just so you can see how different it is from all the polishes that I have, especially a lot that Essie has. They have so many different variations of green. Some are more sage, some lean a little bit more blue, some are brighter, some are more muted, and so this one is different. It's definitely different than anything they have, so let's look into that. So I compared it to Gelato, and as you can see that one's more yellow, but I wanted to pull that out just so you could see just how much more yellow that it is. And then Can Do Attitude is a little more blue sage leaning, and then Turquoise and Caicos is slightly more blue, and that polish is very sheer. It's not one of my favorites. I know that was a favorite for a long time, but the formula on that, every time I use it, I'm like, man, this is so sheer. It kind of had a similar color tone, but it definitely leaned a little bit more blue. And then Jade It Happen is a little bit of a brighter sage. Belief in Yourself is a more muted sage, and then Bon Voyage is just a sage green. So those are different as well. So here are the ones that I found are closest to this. This Cost Me a Mint, which was one of my favorite polishes ever. It is such a good polish. Someone needs to make one like this. Again, just to kind of update it. But this one is a little bit lighter. So it has more white in it. So it's just kind of a subtle mint green, and I love it so much. I will try to link it down below if I find it anywhere. I think I found it on Walmart, but I'll put it down below. And then That's Hilarious is really close to that one. It's a little brighter and a touch more green. So Sensoril is darker than all of these, okay? So I found that kind of interesting. So it's a little bit darker, and I really like the lighter ones, but I love this one quite a bit. And then Olive and June KMC is a little more blue leaning. It's quite sheer as well, and it's lighter. That's a beautiful polish, you guys. I love that one too. I had kind of forgotten about that one, and I probably should pull it out. So you can see that this one's a little bit darker than this Cost Me a Mint, but it reminded me of that one a lot, especially with the color tone. And I still think I like this Cost Me a Mint a little bit better, but I do like this one a lot, and I'm glad that Essie is doing it. And I feel like they need to go even a little bit lighter with it next year, maybe in the spring. Hint, hint. Come on, Essie. We need something a little softer, almost like all those other light blue mints you have. We need some light green mints. You just don't have any in that category. So this one I loved. And then we have Firefly Away, and this one's really bright. I kind of was shocked about how bright it is just because I felt like this is kind of more summery, but I feel that's why this collection is a good transition collection as we move from summer to fall, because there are a lot of flowers this time of year, this color. I just planted some pansies that were this color down in my little forest area, and the sunflowers are out right now, and they're kind of this brighter orange color too. So it does go along with the fall theme, which I love. And so I think it is a good transition polish, and I love that it's bright. It's a little bit warm, but it still has some cool tones in it, and it's a really pretty orange. It does have a great formula. I will say it is opaque in 2 coats. Some nails I did have to do 3, so I think it's just gonna depend on how you apply it, but 2 to 3 coats for this one to be opaque, but it does have a pretty great formula that's easy to work with. Essie has quite a few oranges, but I picked the oranges that were closest to this one, so I only have one comparison to show you. A lot of Essie's oranges lean more coral, like more pink or definitely darker orange, and not this yellow and this bright. So here are the ones that are the closest. So I pulled out Soak Up the Sun, and you can see that one's more pink like a lot of them are. And then OPI No Tan Lines is very close, if not exact. So I found that interesting. So this is Essie's version of the OPI shade, and you might already have that one, so you might not need this one. I feel like Essie definitely needed that type of color in their line. And then Movin' and Groovin' is darker, but the same color tone. That's another thing I found with the Essies. This tone are a little bit darker in color. It's fun in the fall to have a little pop of something on your nails too, and so I like that a lot. Next up is Natural Nightlife, and it's this beautiful terracotta shade. This is a little bit more muted. It does have some orange, but not too much orange. I would say it's maybe a little bit more mauve, but I also feel like this one's gonna change color depending on the lighting. So I feel like if it's going to be in the sun, the orange is going to show up a little bit more, and if it's indoors, it's going to look a little bit more muted. The formula is fantastic on this one too. You can get it opaque in pretty much 1 coat. I did 2 for the picture swatches, but it's just beautiful. Essie has a lot of shades like this, a lot. And so I went through and pulled all of them out and found the ones that were closest to this. A lot of those shades are a little bit lighter than this one, or they had more purple, or they had more red, or were more mauve-y, or had more orange. And so this one is a little bit different, at least for Essie's line. I have 2 comparisons for this, one for Essie and then one with other brands, and let's check those out. So I compared it to Gouda Gouda 2 Shoes, and that one's the one that I really thought about when I saw this, and it is the closest, and it has a little bit of shimmer in it though, and it's a little bit lighter. I like that polish quite a bit. And then OPI Yank My Doodle is more of a red orange, and then OPI Endless Sunner is more brown. So those are the closest out of OPI. And I will say all of these comparisons for Essie show the spectrum because they're all different tones. And so there were some that were kind of similar in tone but lighter. I didn't compare those, but these are the ones that are along the same shade but different colors. So we have Suit and Tied, which was more nude, Clothing Optional, which is more purple, and then Rocky Rose, which is more red. So man, it was tricky. I pulled out so many and I just couldn't find one. If you have found one that is exact to this, let me know, because I don't have all of the Essie shades, but there probably will be something really close to this, if not exact, because I feel like Essie has so many of these. But as far as my collection went, I had nothing that was exact to this. It was more closer to some of the OPI shades that they have. I liked this one. It is kind of close to my skin tone, so I don't usually reach for colors like this. but I think a lot of you are gonna like this one, especially for the fall. Then we have this beautiful green Midnight Mirage, and I love greens like this. It is just really bright and fun and rich and a little bit cool toned. It also is medium toned. The formula is really good on this one too. 2 coats and it builds up so nicely and it just goes on so glossy. So good, you guys. I love any kind of greens though, but I think this is a fun transition shade too as we go from summer to fall, and I'm definitely going to be pulling this out. I can see me wearing it with something that's like a beige corduroy or any kind of beiges. Even this would be cute with. I debated whether I should wear this today or this polish, and I kind of just went for the brown, but I love this one too. So let's get into those comparisons. I compared it to Naughty Nautical, and that one's more blue. It has a little bit of glitter in it, and then Lose Sight of Reality is darker and more blue, which kind of surprised me, and then Off Tropic is more of a deep green. So Midnight Mirage is kind of in between these darker shades and then these lighter ones, and so here are the lighter ones. So Along for the Vibe is lighter and more green, and then Bustling Bazaar is more of like a turquoise and it's lighter, and then Unguilty Pleasures is a blue tone. So I couldn't just find anything exactly like this, so I'm glad that Essie added it because it just kind of fills that gap, but it instantly reminded me of this China Glaze polish. So I have more comparisons here. So here's the China Glaze Head to Mojito, is one of my favorite greens. Love this one, and this one's actually more brighter and more green and more fun and more summery, and so I feel like this Midnight Mirage is kind of the fall version of that one, so of course I love it. And then OPI Rated PG is the closest. It's just a touch warmer, so that's a polish that I found was like pretty close to it. And then my Studios on Spring is very cool toned and darker. I love all these greens. On every finger, every swatch picture, they're all amazing, and this one I love too. Then we have Nocturnal Encounter, and it's this beautiful red. It's kind of an interesting red. It's kind of a pinky red, but it also has some orange in it in different lights. So I kind of put it in a category of like berry reds, and then when I was doing comparisons, I was like, oh no, it has more orange and it's a little bit more muted. So this one was really hard for me to tell what color it was, and I like that about it actually. So it is kind of more pink leaning for sure, but in the pictures it's going to show up more red. I just could not get it to be exactly what it was. It's going to be more red orange, but then even on my hand, reds are weird on me. I don't know what it is. I have some kind of purple undertones in my skin, and I think it just throws reds off for me. It's probably why I don't wear them very much, but it looked kind of orange next to my skin tone. So very interesting shade for me. The formula on this one's really great. It's going to be opaque in almost 1 coat. I would do 2 for this one, but it's just a really fantastic formula. So buttery and creamy. Now let's talk about comparisons. Comparisons with reds are so hard, and I hate doing it. So I pulled all my reds out for Essie, laid them all in a line under my bright lights, and picked the closest, and I really could not find anything exact. So that was cool, but let me show you what I found was closest to it, at least with my eye. And the polishes that I have. So here they are. I compared it to Double Breasted Jacket and Cherry on Top and Bee Cherry, and you can see that Nocturnal Encounter is just slightly more orange and slightly more muted, even though by itself it does look like a cherry red, but compared to the bright cherry reds that I have here, it's not as cherry. And Cherry on Top and Bee Cherry are 2 of my favorite Essies. So those are the ones that I tend to reach for most. So up next to those 2, I would say I still like those 2 better. But this one's really cool too, and I like that it's a little bit muted. It's a really interesting shade. Tell me if you like it down below, I'd like to know. And then we have Mystical Miss, the namesake of the collection, and this one kind of blew me away, you guys. This one's so cool. It's a chrome, but it's not super metallic. It's a little bit darker, a little bit moodier. It's not super metallic like No Place Like Chrome. You'll see that here in a minute. It's just, oh, I don't know. It just goes on so smoothly. There's not really any streaks in it. I think I'll wear it. I almost wore it today, but I was like, no, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer to wear this, but it's so cool. And so I'm gonna show you here in the comparison. And it's pretty much opaque in 1 coat. I would do 2 just because I think it looks better, but you could probably totally get away with just 1. Let's look at those comparisons so you can see. It's just cool. I loved it so much. Okay, so I compared it to No Place Like Chrome. As you can see, that one's more metallic. So I feel like Mystical Mist is kind of the cooler, upgraded, more moody version of that one. And then Jingle Bell is more glittery, and then Making Spirits Bright is more glittery and silver. And those are the ones that I had. I don't really have any other chromy ones from Essie, and so those are the ones that I compared it to. So this one's really unique and cool, and it really surprised me. I'll probably wear it. We'll have to wait and see. So let me pick my favorites. These are the 3 that I picked. The 2 green. So we've got the Midnight Mirage, and then we have a Stencil Reel, and then we have this silver chrome one, which is Mystical Mist. So those are my favorites from the collection. Tell me what your favorites were. I'd really like to know in the comments down below. Do you have a Target in your area? If you do, I'm excited for you. If you don't, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can't get them, but hopefully those comparisons were helpful and you can kind of try to find a polish that's similar to these and just pull it out this fall. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I have a lot more fall collections coming up, so stay tuned and we will see you next time. Thanks guys. Bye.